Good evening, guys, and welcome to Cloudy with a Chance of Games. This is What Has Stadia Done Now, our weekly show where we cover what has gone on in the world of Stadia within the past week. You might notice that I am on my own. I'm missing a co-host, but don't worry, he will be here in a minute. He's just running a few minutes late, which is exactly why kind of our usual intro maybe looped once or twice as we try to kind of get into it. But obviously, this week on What Has Stadia Done Now, we are covering, I should say, the Stadia Pro games, the blog post that we've seen out today, and then we've got a couple of extra other bits for you guys to enjoy as we tuck into a nice, tasty, healthy discussion about what has Stadia done now. Hey, there we go. It's me having to manage all the buttons this week, just while we wait for the arrival of Duncan. I was actually anticipating that he was going to be here by now. Hence why we kind of kicked the stream off and got the countdown going. But nevertheless, we will, I'll say hello to Happy, as I can see that obviously Happy's in the chat, and anybody else that is obviously watching. I'm just going to obviously pull up the blog post as we start to kind of run through that. So obviously, 1st of September, the main thing to kind of cover off straight out of the door is the fact that we had our Stadia Pro titles drop today for everybody to be able to claim. So obviously, we had Darksiders 2, we had Little Big Workshop and Wave Break. And then, of course, we had those two bonus games that kind of stealth dropped us on us very early this morning. Which was Legend of Keepers, and then of course the long-awaited Ark, which I think everybody's been kind of crying out for months. It was supposed to hit us at the early point of the year, and then obviously as it kind of it ran on, we knew that there was kind of going to be then a delay to the summer when they came out and confirmed that for us, and obviously everybody in the community. And then obviously I think officially going by US terms, I think summer officially ends on the 21st of September. So we've got a whole extra 20 days to enjoy Ark Survival Evolved. So I am going to, I'm going to pull up the blog post so that we can start going through it. I'll run through a couple of the little bits that maybe we might not normally have kind of touched on, maybe when Duncan is here. So here we go. Let's just bring that up so that everybody can see it on screen. Hopefully everybody can now... there we go. That's better. So if we scroll down, I've noticed that they have... the one thing I will point out, those of you that may have been eagle-eyed earlier on in the day, you will have noticed that this blog post earlier actually had PGA 2K21 listed as a pro title. So I don't know whether there's anything to that, but kind of keep your eye out. It kind of, it could certainly be something to, keep an eye on as to whether that drops in. So those couple of little bits, obviously we've touched on the pro games, and we will go through them in more depth as soon as Duncan joins in. The one bits that, the bits that we will go through, obviously Watchdog Legions. Free weekend starts on Friday. We've obviously had a number of free weekends from Stadia in the past few weeks. I think last weekend was a weekend off, if I've not made a mistake. So it's good to see them kind of come back to the forefront. And what we have is Watch Dogs Legion on a free weekend. For those who haven't played it, obviously it's the third in that franchise of Watchdog titles. Personally, for me, I don't know whether it's because it's one that's kind of set in the UK, but the whole kind of vibe, everything they had with the story, I think probably clicked with me maybe more than any of the others. So I really, really enjoyed it. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, I'd definitely jump in and check that out. I'm just going to take a second just to kind of say hello to everybody in the chat. So obviously, we've got Kenny G. Thanks for jumping in. Obviously Happy. Ooh, maybe shouldn't have shown that one. Zero games for me. Thanks for jumping in. C Troop, our friends over at Stadia Source doing a sterling job. And yes, Duncan is late. And if you've missed any of the start of this, Duncan, I fully threw you under the bus and said that you were late. Hence why we're kind of I'm rolling and kind of keeping it going until you get here. There we go. Perfect. Obviously, feeding on from the Watchdog Legion stuff, Ubisoft Plus is now available across any of the regions that are available for Stadia. So if Stadia is available in that region, then Ubisoft Plus is now available for those people in those regions. And I do believe, I don't know if he's quite ready, but I can see in the bottom of my corner that Duncan has appeared.
Yes, I have finally appeared. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, we are getting a lot of stuff done in the house at this moment in time, so we were just finishing off over. I blame me. Sorry, Dick.
No worries. That's all good. I was just running through probably some of the smaller bits that maybe we might not have maybe touched on in such depth whilst we were just waiting for you to arrive. So I just
thank you so much.
No worries. Recap some of the pro games, obviously the free weekend Ubisoft, and that kind of brings us up until about now. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Where do you want to go next?
Anywhere you want, because you've been on it. You've been doing it, so you can work away.
Okay, no worries. Well, let's kick off then. We'll head next to that blog post from yesterday as well, in the fact that you can now change your name on Stadia without having to contact customer services. So when you log into Stadia, click on your profile image, top right-hand corner, and click Stadia settings. Within there, you should see the avatar and the avatar and kind of gamer tag, I think it is. And then within there, you will have the option to change your username without having to contact support. One thing to be aware of, obviously, I think it is a phased rollout. I think when I last checked, I didn't have the option. So even though I've kind of talked you through where that option is, if you're not seeing it yet, don't worry, because it may not have rolled out to you specifically, but it is on its way out for sure.
Yep, finally. You can do it without having to contact support. It feels like we're getting a proper platform here. We're getting things pretty like normal stuff. It's good to see that they can do it. So one thing you can't do, you can't go in and choose like Barry 100 if Barry 100 is already taken as a founder sort of one. But you can go in and change it. They put a bit of a limit on it as well, where you only can change it out once every so often. Which is something to keep an eye on as well. And the good thing is you don't have to pay for it at this moment in time.
Fingers crossed it stays that way.
Yeah, that may sound a bit stupid, but that is actually a good thing, because some of the other gaming services you have to pay to change your name. So Stadia is actually doing something pretty good there, that you don't have to worry about paying for that at the moment. That may change down the line, but at this moment in time, it is something to be applauded.
Yep, no, definitely. I think it is a good shout, because as you say, that some of the platforms out there, you kind of maybe get that one free change, and then after that, if you want to do it, then they're kind of going to hit you with they're going to hit you with a charge. So it's definitely worth pointing out, as you say. I think next from the blog post, obviously the get $10 or £10 in the Stadia store on them. It's back. So those that would have used it previously, if you log into your Stadia account, you'll find $10 credit or £10, so you can use it to purchase the game you want from the library.
Yes, one thing to note here, it's very cleverly wrote there. If you have already used your £10 from a previous offer, you don't get it again. So it's a good thing it's back for absolutely all the new people, but I know it has ruffled a couple of people's feathers out there. I think it's a good thing that they're doing it, but give us more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, when you kind of put it into that perspective, you've clearly got, it's maybe targeting the people that haven't benefited from it before. So you maybe kind of, maybe those new people maybe they're going to be the biggest beneficiaries of it in the sense of trying to encourage them to spend a little bit more on the platform.
Yeah, you want people to be absolutely hooked into the platform, and as we know, people have had wandering eyes at this moment in time. But I'm telling you now, if I had that $10 offer, I would be tempted to pick up a couple more games on Stadia, because if you remember what happened the last time, if you picked up a game for £3 or $3, you still had the money to roll over as well. And especially if the indie game sales at the moment, you could have maybe picked up a couple of wee games. But you can't complain really about it. People have made use of it, but the Stadia community is just so small at this moment in time. So I think that is why it's a bigger deal than it probably should be.
Yep. No, absolutely. I'm going to scroll back up because now that you're back, we can have a proper discussion about the pro game, shall we?
Do we have to have a discussion about the pro games?
Well, I mean, I think we can exclude Darksiders 2, Little Big Workshop, and Wavebreak because we talked about that last week. So I think there's probably only really kind of two to cover.
I think it's worth covering Darksiders 2 because that is 30 FPS. It's disappointing that it's 30 FPS, but that it looks like it's probably an issue with the actual code of the game, because it doesn't run the best everywhere else either. So I don't be getting knickers in the twist of it being 30 FPS. Even though I am a 60 FPS snob for cloud gaming, I think we can let Darksiders off of that one because it's just an overall problem of it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But you want to talk about Legends of the Keepers, a career of the Dungeon Master for half an hour here? Is that what we're saying?
I mean, I think people will be happy that there's an extra game stuck in there, but I think probably the biggest talking point of today has got to be the long-awaited Ark, hasn't it?
Ark, which I made a bad joke on Twitter earlier, needed to stay a fall for a bit longer on Stadia. It is running like a complete and utter dog. In some ways, they probably should have cancelled the port. And no, it's not actually that bad, to be absolutely fair. You could play it, but it just looks janky as anything, and the animations are just woeful. Not sure if have you had a chance to see the video, or have you actually jumped in yet?
I've seen yours, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Tyler was streaming it earlier, very briefly.
I think he was as well.
Yeah. So I haven't jumped into it myself, but yes, I have kind of. I've seen video of it, and I've also obviously seen people kind of taken to Twitter. And I should add that I've seen video outside of Twitter compression, so I'm not basing what I've seen on a compressed video on Twitter. I've seen it elsewhere, and certainly, I think there seems to be two camps with this. I think there seems to be the people that are saying, "Wow, this is, this is a bit of a mess." And then I'm probably, I don't know, maybe Cloudbusters is in this territory that I was maybe going to go to, but I'm seeing a lot of people saying, actually, do you know what? Ark has never been polished. It's never been a particularly great, a great performing game. It kind of performs like we expected as it would on Stadia anyway. So I don't know. I don't know which, where Cloudbuster sits in with that. Obviously, I can see that he's saying, it's playing fine, which is good. That's great because obviously it is all about the individual experience. I think, but certainly, from what I've seen, it seems a long shot off being where probably I would have expected, if I'm honest. And that's even aside of kind of seeing, I've seen your videos where you did a very brief comparison in or not side by side, but showcasing it on Xbox in terms of xCloud and then obviously GFN. And there's certainly, I mean, you watch those videos and it's night and day between some of them. But you know, the main thing for me that sticks out is people have been absolutely crowing for this game to come to Stadia. It's now here. Go and enjoy it. If you're one of those people that have been absolutely screaming for it, go and enjoy it, because this is what you've been, this is what you've been waiting for. It's what you've been wanting.
Yeah. We have been crowing for a while. Be careful what you wish for with Ark. And this isn't a told you so sort of time, but Ark runs poorly on basically everything. Ark is a very interesting game. I'm not sure if anybody else has jumped into it. In the space of 5 minutes, I was killed twice. For obvious reasons, I was killed twice for a lot of people out there, but I jumped in and I was murdered. And that's even before you get to the look and feel of the game. It is not great. And I think people were thinking, it's coming to Stadia, it's going to be polished, it is going to run absolutely great because of the power of the cloud and things like that. And I'm telling you now, I think the free cloud platforms, it is running the worst, and it's running the worst by an absolute mile. xCloud and GFN are running it a hell of a lot better off, unfortunately, than Stadia. And I don't think this is actually Stadia's fault per se. It's just Ark itself. If we're going to talk about the game, I think we're going to see a big uptake of people playing it for the first couple of days, aka normal Stadia game, and then just completely drop off a cliff. People have been calling for this game, and I don't know why. I just do not know why. I know it's got a massive audience out there, but if you haven't played Ark before, you're in for an interesting experience. But here's a good thing, just before I let you jump back in again. It has got crossplay. So I would warn against people jumping into the crossplay servers until you've actually played the game a bit more yourself.
That's fair enough. I think it sounds like sound advice. What I was actually going to bring up was C-Troop put a great talking point earlier in the chat earlier. In the sense of, should Stadia be controlling the quality of ports and games that come to Stadia? And there's kind of a follow-up comment to that says, like Xbox have done in the past.
And PlayStation as well, Cyberpunk. Yeah. Here's the problem that Stadia have got, and it's not a good problem. It's the old expression is beggars can't be choosers at this moment. And that may sound absolutely harsh, but it would take a lot of grapefruits for Stadia to turn around and say we're rejecting this on grounds of being not good enough. They should have done it with Outriders. They should be doing it with probably. See, the thing with Ark, I don't think it's unplayable, and that's the thing. I think you can play it. I just think it's just janky. It's just, you know what I mean?
I mean, we've got two comments in the chat.
Yeah.
So obviously, Goat saying that he'd have delusions of adequacy if he thought that this port was okay, and that probably moves on to C-Troop, the man that raised the talking point. It plays well enough, but visually, it's as rough as a badger's.
See, I think that basically sums it up nicely there. I think it's playable. I don't think it's an unplayable game. Outriders has got much more issues than Ark. I just think Ark just looks like rubbish, but it is playable. But should Stadia be doing some sort of quality control? Yes, they should be, but can they really turn around to Square Enix and go, get that Outriders off the platform and then possibly miss out on games down in the line? This is the balancing act that Stadia has at this moment in time. It's just really frustrating.
It is, but I think if you're a platform that wants to be taken seriously, developers, publishers are taking money hand over fist to bring the games to platforms. I think, Stadia as a platform probably owe it to their, to the players of the platform to make sure that what is delivered is, yes, there's always going to be bugs. There may be, minor issues that kind of get fixed with patches, and that's fine. But I think when you get to a point where something visually maybe doesn't look up there in terms of eking the performance out of the cloud, because what you've got to think about is when we talk about cloud gaming, we are talking about, effectively, that term has always been used about the future of gaming. And if you look at, particularly in some of these instances, if you look at some of those games maybe running on Stadia and see that sort of quality, does that, as a user, does that represent to you the game, a future of gaming that you want to see, that you want to take part in, or that you want to experience? And I think as gamers, that answer is no. And as platform holders who are the kind of, I guess, the pioneers in sort of pushing these platforms and these technologies, they should be in a position where they're saying, actually, do you know what, that's not good enough. We do need to hit the pause button. And it had, they clearly, I think what scares me about the process is it missed the early part of the year window. It then ran close to almost, it was after Easter, May time, before they actually come out and said, oh yeah, it's not coming right now. We need more time to work on it. And then here we are, another couple of months later, and we've still got something that is rough. And I think from that perspective, that for me makes it worse, because if it was supposed to be the first part of the year, they've been working on it, for a lot, previously in 2020, maybe even before that. And then they've had extra time, and it still translates to what we've seen on screen. So I definitely think quality control needs to be employed.
So where would your limits be? Again, I'm not disagreeing. I think it's horrible looking and horrible playing, but it is it's in the realms of playability. That's where this is the hard act. It's not like it's completely and utterly broken like Cyberpunk was on everything else, or what Outriders is at this moment in time on Stadia. It's not a completely broken. It is playable, even though it runs absolutely garbage.
I think you probably need to. I think if you want to treat it somewhere between a console and I guess if we look at how we maybe kind of manage game settings on on a PC, you've got to be saying that it has to maintain stable 60 FPS at medium settings. And that's the sort of territory I'd be saying is, if you look at the equivalent of this game in medium settings on PC running 60 FPS, does the Stadia version compare? Now, the answer in this particular instance might be yes, because we've spoken about how it doesn't look great across the board. But that, you need to be in those, and I would say that has to be a minimum. Medium has to be a minimum of 60 FPS in that sort of, that quality control.
Yeah, it's really weird. I would recommend everybody who's got Stadia Pro to go and check it out anyway. Some of the animations are just actually really, really funny. So the guy put them bashing his arms. It wasn't even. I don't think it was even 15 FPS. It was like 5 FPS. I was just going.
There were two bits that sort of stuck out from your video that I seen earlier. There was the geezer with the wobbly arm that was just like this on the floor, and then the geezer that was just stood jabbing something into the air over the sea.
Yeah, when I jumped in between the other platforms, the differences are just absolutely stark, especially in the reflections and things like that. So I think this needed more work, and I would. If I was paying for this, it would be a refund. But because you get a part of your pro subscription, you can just sort of forget about it. And hopefully it gets improved, just like they have improved other versions of the game.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I think we've. Well, yeah.
But again, it's good to see it coming. Regarding the other game, I think that's the game I'm actually more excited about out from the two shadow drops. I can't even remember the dungeon one, whatever it's called, and I'm actually more excited to actually jump in and possibly play that rather than Ark. Ark, I knew from the very start people have been hyping this up and hyping this up. It was just going to end in disappointment for a lot of people, and unfortunately it is sort of came to pass.
Yep. No, definitely. Oh, there we go. Evening Killer Platypus. Thanks for jumping in. Obviously saying there, don't think Ark is playable in its current state.
But that's fair enough. That's what we want. We want different opinions. We're not here just to say everything. This is exactly what we're wanting.
Absolutely, of course. So that's pretty much covered our blog posts. The one thing I will say, actually, while we are on pro games, is we kind of reminded everybody to go and claim those games that were due to be disappearing. They did confirm in today's blog post that Blue Fire won't be going anywhere for a while. So you'll still be able to claim that.
Yeah, here's the thing. I know people are going to make a big deal out from this, that it is not going. I think if you're a pro game, there's no point actually leaving pro. As soon as you've signed up once, you should just stick with it. And I think that's what they're going to be doing for the foreseeable future. I don't think there's actually too much to read into that. As soon as you sign up once, just continue it down the line.
Yeah. Do we think? I mean, I'm going to go a little bit down speculation alley here, but obviously at the time point that Blue Fire went on, it was pre the changes. Do we think that contractually they've had to come off, or they've officially had to announce that it's coming off to go back on the new terms? Or do you think there's been something brokered behind the scenes to say, just carry on?
I think it's just brokered behind the scenes. I don't think they had to say to come off. I think they may have just forgot it was coming off, and it's going off. We'll just sign this, keep it on there. I don't think there's too much to read into that, but I think it's great that it's not going off, and I hope this is going to be a continuing trend that games do not leave. Basically, sort of like PlayStation Now, where the vast majority of them games do not leave. It just continues to grow and grow, bar a couple of star games. So I think hopefully that is the Stadia model going forward.
Fingers crossed. Let's see what they do, shall we? Okay, where do you want to go next?
Okay, we've got two discussion points to go for. We've got good news one, or both of them are actually pretty good news ones. Do we talk about what you've been playing, or do we go on to the other discussion point?
I don't mind. I can talk about what I've been playing in the last week, if you like.
Yep, we will go to that. We have had when I say we, Barry, we has had the opportunity to play. I'm going to say it. I'm just going to call it Meerkat's Market.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yes, that's what I've been calling it, Meerkat's Market. But over the last week or so, we've been given an early access code for it. We've been playing it on PC, so we have not been playing this on Stadia, so just keep that in mind as we talk about the game. But Barry, what's it like?
Do you know what? I found it really interesting. And as I was getting ready, obviously we kind of had to do a bit of a piece for the website, which would, be going out after the show this evening. As I reflected on it, and as I was kind of pulling together some of my notes and writing about it, it actually made me realize how much I enjoyed the experience. So I guess for those that don't know, Merrick's Market is a builder.
Meerkat's Market. Meerkat's Market.
Sorry, Meerkat's Market is a building and crafting game. It's designed and by Big Village Games, which are guys based in the UK. They're a team of two that have built this game from the ground up. And basically, you've got a medieval shop, and as you go through the campaign, it's effectively your job to kind of bring in the money and kind of help your shop get bigger, and survive some challenges that that are kind of thrown at you along the way from kind of competitors and dragons and all that sort of good stuff. But it's it's really good fun. You can play it on your own, or you've got up to 4 people on couch co-op. So I think it's due to be, if I remember correctly, September the 15th is the official launch date for it. I'm not. I have to be honest. I don't think Stadia have confirmed that it's launching on the 15th, but I know that elsewhere it is the 15th. So keep your eyes open for that. But you know what? It is good fun. The one thing I have said about it is, I think maybe because it is kind of created by a British team, a lot of the humor in it and the accents are kind of, I guess they may be slightly more tailored to a British audience, shall we say. But if you can kind of engage that bit of British humor and kind of tap into some of those accents, it is good fun. And it's something that I think is really eligible to introduce to kids. If you've maybe got a younger child who maybe kind of is interested in kind of jumping in, you can then kind of buddy up and be their player too, and and help them out and kind of go through it. But it's it's good fun.
How many levels did you get actually to play?
Oh, there's loads. I think on
20.
my
20. You
20.
got up to level 20.
No, I think I've got further than that.
No, you're not meant to talk about any ones you got further.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. No, 20.
Yeah. So what was the first 20 levels like?
Yes, they're good. It's a good job you reminded me of that. They are broken. The way it's actually broken down, the levels, is they're kind of broken. It's kind of broken down in months, and then particular days of a month that it kind of goes through. So you've got a good bit of variation there between. There's some levels where quite simply, there are people coming into the shop, and when they walk up to the counter, it kind of shows an icon of what it is that they want you to craft. So then you've got a time limit then to basically craft as many customers' products as they kind of come in and out of the shop. And when they pay for it, you've got a key combination to enter from your keypad on your controller to get that successfully right in order to kind of take the money off them. And then the more button sequences you get right when people are paying, it adds to kind of a multiplier to kind of grow your money. So you've got a time, and it's then sort of the time counts down, and the aim is to get as high as possible in terms of money intake as you can. And then they've got a bronze, silver, and gold kind of scoring sequence as to how well you've done on that level based on what you've earned. And then that kind of goes on to a leaderboard then.
So is there multiplayer in the game?
You've got couch co-op for 4-player, and then I believe, if I remember correctly, there is multiplayer.
Yep, cool. There is. I'm just reading over our remarketing thing we got off the guys. So again, absolutely thank you to them for sharing this with us. There is 50 levels in single player, and there are 40 levels in multiplayer. So it is absolutely great to see this game out there. And do I have a feeling that we may be seeing some of the game shortly?
Yes, shortly. When what a Stadia has done now is done and wrapped, I will be going live, and I'll be obviously going from the start just to kind of do a little bit of a first look and going through some of the first levels and kind of letting people see what it's all about.
Cool. But do you have enjoyed it? When you were talking to me, you've already touched on it. The British humour, it could grate on some people, or it might not translate. So just keep that in mind. Would that be right in saying?
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got a token West Country girl, you've got a token Scotsman in there, and yeah, some of that humour is a little bit British, I guess.
Too British at times, do you think?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
I'm not sure. Did you ever play Overlord? It was made by Codemasters.
I don't think I've actually played it, if I'm honest.
It was very Monty Python-esque. Would it be something along them lines? I was.
Yeah, you're kind of along the right lines. Yeah, definitely.
Where it's just take the piece slightly out from all that.
Yeah.
It sounds like someone's getting murdered outside my house, but who cares? It's only a child. They can go make another one. Oh dear. Yeah, bad jokes is why you come here. So shall we move on to an interesting talking point? How about I get the wee tweet up here? But over the last couple of days, I'm not sure if people have noticed what has been happening at YouTube Gaming. Have you noticed anything happening at YouTube Gaming?
Not until you sent me the post, I hadn't.
See,
I'll give you the honest answer.
you give me the honest answer. Okay. Yeah, over the last couple of days, YouTube Gaming has been on a bit of a spending spree, and they have been tapping up and buying. I'm just going to say it. They've been buying a number of creators. Yes, I've done this with the non-signed-in version, so I don't. Yes, this isn't my proper one. Yes, it's in white at the moment. I have learnt my lesson with not logging in, so I don't have to hide.
Where is the dark mode, man?
I know. It's because it's not in the logged in version. Oh, what's happened here? I've wrecked things. On my computer. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh no, fix things. And see, the thing is, I'm on a PC here today. I'm usually on a Mac, so I don't know where all this carry on here is. So here we go. We have Ryan here. He's like the head of YouTube or YouTube Gaming, and he has just announced today, Tim the Tap Man has just signed for YouTube Gaming. That follows on the back of someone who I've just forgotten about. Dr. Lupo, or whatever he's called. I'm down with the kids knowing all these people. But there's some interesting language in this tweet by Ryan here, which I'm not sure if people have actually picked up on. Can you notice any interesting language in the tweet?
The bit that stands out to me, and it stood out to me earlier, was we are building the best gaming platform in the world for creators, publishers, and gamers.
It's the publisher part of that has got me really, really intrigued. Is this our first hint of proper Stadia integration into YouTube and YouTubers going to be using? Is it the first hint of a rebrand for Stadia into YouTube Gaming, which a lot of people have been talking about? Is this the first hint of publishers going for white labeling with Stadia? So much going on here. I find the wording is extremely interesting.
Yeah, it is, because I think it's I think when you tie that, the first bit, as you then say, we're kind of the publishers, it does kind of stand out as to something's going on. It wouldn't strike me necessarily that they're just talking about the best place to watch people play games. It would strike me as that they're kind of being something more to that, that may well be kind of developing.
Yeah, there just seems to be some real interesting moves afoot in regards to YouTube Gaming, because they picked up another person as well. These streamers, if you're not in the circles, you don't really know them. It's someone who hangs out with Ninja. Yes, I think everybody knows who Ninja is, and Ninja has been involved in some of these threads as well, which has been going on because that's all his Fortnite crew is there. So, again, that's not going to happen, but Fortnite with Stream Connect, could you imagine?
Yeah.
That would be class. But I think this is maybe a subtle hint towards some sort of Stadia stuff going on with YouTube, and I really hope that it is, because it's something which really I thought should be, from the very, very start, they should be capitalizing on YouTube from the word go.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think Something I said earlier in the year actually is that I can kind of see it falling into line with something like that in terms of I think I said personally from me I think with the media perception that's associated with the word Stadia now, it seems to me like a very sensible option to sort of retract the use of that name and then try and have something else that's maybe more recognizable, more powerful, that can maybe sort of benefit the tech and the service and everything behind it.
Yep, indeed. Oh, something has just went on. Oh no, I'm deaf. Something just went on in my. I don't know what's going on. It's all everything's up in the air and everything's freaking me out here.
Well, I don't know. Take you off an Apple and put you into Windows, and you're all
Yes,
you're worse than you are normally.
I know. It's even worse. I'm only on one screen, which is absolutely mad. The second screen isn't working here. I have to get that fixed.
Yeah,
so
see, that'd do my nut in.
So I'm having to do this multitasking on one screen, and you know how awkward that is. It's just so annoying. I don't know. I just don't know what to do with myself. But I'm just really interested to see where this will actually bring us down the line. And Kelly is freaking out. I'm breaking her computer. Yes, I am going to break it. I'm going to break it massively.
Nice.
Nice. So, is there anything else you want to talk about in regards to the YouTube stuff here?
I don't think there was anything else I wanted specifically to cover on this YouTube stuff, but I've got something that we can cover about our YouTube stuff if you like.
No, what have I done now?
No, it was just to talk about the fact that in 5 days from now, if I've got my days of the week wrapped up properly, yes, 5 days from now, Monday the 6th, we are going to be having for our members, we are going to be having our first members Q&A on YouTube. So keep an eye out for the scheduling and for the time, because I'm not necessarily sure we've set a time for that yet. Is it 8 o'clock?
I think we'll go 8 UK.
Okay, there we go.
That means we can get our dinner. That's the important thing.
Well, yeah, definitely. We don't want to be grumpy before we do a Q&A. So
no, and again, it is for our members. It's again, thank you for it. This is not to put any pressure on people becoming members or anything like this. This is just a perk for members. So it'll be 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, it will indeed, and it's ask us virtually anything.
Yes, we have to be clear. Yes, we will let anybody ask us within the realms of reason, and we will give as honest of an answer as we can, as you normally get with us anyway.
Yeah.
And we may be a bit more liberal.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And obviously, the one thing I think that's probably worth clarifying is we obviously can't say anything that we like. If maybe people ask us stuff about stuff that we maybe know or maybe we're not supposed to share. Obviously, we are in a position where we maybe we obviously can't share any of that sort of stuff.
Yes, we won't be able to share any embargoed information or any things which we may have been given. But we will probably do our usual anyway. We may hint at some stuff and things like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Excellent. Have you got anything else you want to cover?
Okay, well, there's always something going on in Stadia. Come on, what drama have I forgot about?
Have we forgot about drama?
Probably. Oh yes. What do you make of the two games which have came to light over the last week? One which was completely said it was completely and utterly fake in The Mandalorian, and we've got that one, I think it was yesterday or Monday, which has completely slipped my mind, which
the realm thing with the funky text.
Yeah. What do you make of them? First of all, The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian, boy, oh boy, am I glad that we didn't do anything other than briefly acknowledge it last week, because I think our inclinations that it was not genuine obviously turned out to be spot on. So yes, I'm extremely glad that we that we didn't do that. I think for multiple reasons. I think we kind of didn't want to find ourselves on the wrong side of the line if it was genuine and there was a kind of publisher behind it, because obviously you kind of like to be in everybody's good books because that's how you get news. So yeah, I'm absolutely. And do you know what? As much as it's not necessarily a good thing, fair play to the bloke, because he sold people an absolute cracker in the fact that he kind of made it look convincing enough that people felt that it was something real and something genuine. But that's not me saying that I condone people kind of doing that, but I think you got to give the guy his credit for putting something together relatively well that looked convincing.
Yeah, what I would say about it as well, he picked the opportune moment for actually dropping that, because we've just came off the back of Gamescom and the lack of Stadia presence there. He knew how to capitalize and how to create the biggest buzz possible. It got picked up by a number of people. I actually messaged a couple, said I wasn't touching that with a barge pole for a number of reasons. But again, it's one of them ones, you're damned if you covered it and damned if you didn't cover it. So I'm absolutely blaming people for covering, because it was a big, massive story out there. But again, it just goes to show, just like I think sort of today and maybe yesterday as well, if a game comes to Stadia, it is big news for the whole community. And I think Stadia and the Stadia community really need to get out from that, because a game coming isn't big, massive news. It should be a common occurrence. And if we go on to what xCloud today dropped, was it 8 games coming over the next month to Game Pass, and 4 of them are going to the cloud. That didn't even create a big sort of stir. And then GFN are dropping double figures of games every single week. One game coming should not change the whole landscape of the whole community, and it shouldn't put people the way up here or put people the way down here. It should be just normal.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and I think a game that we've talked about this evening is probably a perfect example of that, because I think there's probably a lot of people out there that kind of were positioning Ark as being the savior, and getting things back on track. For kind of maybe a little bit of a bumpy year, and I think with the mixed reception that it's come to, it's certainly, if that's your answer to kind of getting you out of a bumpy situation, then it's not necessarily it's not necessarily a good thing. But we shouldn't be relying on a singular game to determine or turn round a perception of of a service. You will always, I guess, look back at a particular point in time of maybe actions that maybe happened at a point in time, and how that may be shaped or kind of had a deciding factor in kind of the way a product or maybe a service went. But we definitely shouldn't be in a position of saying, actually, do you know what, this one game is kind of going to overhaul everything. And I think it's interesting. Kind of Goat's comment there is, starvation is the causation for hype. And do you know what, I have to say, fair play to you, Goat, because I think that is never a truer word spoken. I think, actually, when you are a little bit starved of some of these big titles that are maybe going elsewhere, or a vast number of games, then yeah, it certainly does generate a hype when you are kind of getting stuff.
Yeah, so that was a bit of a mad tangent there, but yeah, I think
Sorry.
I think no, I'm the one who caused it. So yeah, I think that's where people just need to relax a wee bit. We do know that there is a couple of games coming for the rest of the month. I've just read the press release again. It is a bit woolly regarding Meerkat's Market, but I think it is going to be coming that for this month. We also have. I can see the game. I can see the game.
It's True Colors this month.
Yep,
Life is
true.
Strange.
Life is Strange. That is the game I'm thinking of. We know that it's definitely coming as well. So at least there's that. That other game, which was getting hyped up to high heaven yesterday. Again, I would it's saying 2024. I'm going to tell you something about that game. You can clip this to see how wrong I am. I don't think that is hitting that time scale for any platform, and I would not be surprised if that game does not make the light of day down the line. I think this is a first game by a new studio who were working on Roblox stuff and things like that. I think that game is going to have a lot of changes and things like that. I think they're being realistic with the timescales, but I would be surprised if that game comes out. I've got so many question marks over that one. Hopefully, I am 100% wrong, but.
There we go. Get it clipped. Get it clipped. Get it clipped so that we can pull it back up. Whenever that point comes around and we find out what's happening with it.
Yeah, exactly. We also had this week, yesterday, in fact, with the Far Cry 6 news. There's a lot of hands-on previews. I'm not sure if you've seen any of the coverage of that.
No, I've been busy. I'm going to give you the honest response. It's been a busy 24 hours, so I've not seen any of the Far Cry 6 coverage yet.
Yeah, generally what I'm seeing, it looks like it is going to be a good game, and people are looking forward to it. It is more Far Cry 6, more Far Cry, interesting boss or baddie in it. There is some concerns out there I've been reading. It has went Ubisofty. It has entered levels into the game, so which may upset some people. But I like Ubisoft games, so I think I will be picking it up or on Ubisoft Plus and giving it a whirl. Again, there's been no footage of it on Stadia at this moment in time, but I think it's a Stadia's big game for the rest of the year. Would you say?
Yeah, I think based on, I think obviously we know they've got a fair run to the end of the month, but I think it's certainly the biggest one that we know of as it stands right now.
Okay, Zero is putting us under the spot. 30 or 60?
I'm going to go 30.
My head is saying 30. My heart is saying give us a toggle and go 30 and 60. But I think it's going to be 30. And if it's 30, I don't think I would be playing it on Stadia.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair thing. I know you've kind of made that point, and so many times in the past of that need and that desire for 60 FPS because you can see the difference, which I don't disagree with. You do notice that you do see it, but yeah, I think it will be 30 FPS when it drops.
Yeah, the thing about 30 and 60, believe it or not, on consoles, up until the last year, it wasn't really a big thing for me, 30 or 60. In the cloud, I'm sorry, but between 30 and 60, you can just pick it up straight away. There is something about it in the cloud where you can just tell straight away, and it actually does affect the performance in the cloud. It just makes the game feel not as good. But I just really hope that it is going to be 60.
Fingers crossed. I mean, I think we'd all love it. And as you say, give us a toggle, even if it's 1080 60. Put it to 1080 60, and you'll take the 60 FPS over the 4K 30.
Yeah, I would definitely take the 60. Even if it was down to 720, I would take the 60.
Yeah.
It just is for me. It just matters so much, and as long as it's a consistent as well. If the worst comes to the worst and it's 30 FPS, it would have to be a lot 30 FPS. We're under all that sort of carry on.
Yep. No,
yeah,
definitely.
but
I'd agree with you. It does have to be a fixed rate for sure. If they're going 30, I don't see any room for fluctuating.
Yeah, I've got a squeaky chair. With that, I think we will wrap this up now because you've got something else to do now. So it will be the first look. I haven't seen many people talking about it in the Stadia first today. So I'm hoping this is going to be like a sort of semi-cloudy exclusive here of Meerkat's Market.
Dude, you're going to ingrain that in me now, and I'm going to end up not calling it Merrick's Meerkat. See, you know what I mean? You've done it already.
Yes,
Merrick's Market.
And we'll say about 15, 20, or what's it, 15 by 20?
Yeah, give me about 15, 20 minutes, and I should be good to go. Obviously, I know we did say this earlier, but please bear in mind I'm playing this on PC because that's what we've got available right now. Yes,
and again, this game's not coming to Stadia. We've actually got another one coming. Hopefully tomorrow we've got another preview. Again, sorry about that earlier. We're doing the house up at the moment, so everything's up the left. So we're just a bit behind here, but we're catching up now. But thank you all for joining us as always, and we will hopefully see you shortly where Barry will play Meerkat's Market.
Yes, I will play Meerkat. Oh God, you've done it again. Right. Anyway, I'm going to say bye. Bye.